Today I'm going to cook for Pernilla Scales and her husband, Timothy West.
What you have to do is you must...
Their sons are vegetarian, so I'm making this delicious mushroom bean curd.
You don't... This is not something you drink.
Then I'm off to York to meet 14 hungry firefighters from Blue Watch who can't wait to try my beef curry and spicy chips. At home in my garden, I'll be showing the writer Amy Tan how to make steamed scallops with chili and ginger. In my own kitchen, I have something very special, this spicy chicken with mint. It's very easy to do and it's quite delicious. Now, I have chicken breasts, which I have cut into sort of bite-sized pieces, and this is quite easy to do. And I want to show you an interesting technique that makes chicken breasts really succulent. Well, this is the Chinese way, and it really works well. You want to add a little bit of salt and 1 egg white and about 2 teaspoons of corn flour. You want to take that and just sort of mix that together until it's really well mixed. Now, this technique is called velveting because the way we're going to cook it, the texture of the chicken will be nice and velvety and also really moist. Mix that very well, and then what you want to do is put that in the fridge for about 20 minutes. And now I want to show you how to cook it. You want to heat up some oil, sort of hot enough so that if I add 1 piece of chicken to this, it starts to bubble all over. If it gets that hot, you take it away from the heat, like this. You add all the chicken from the fridge, nice and cold. And what you want to do is you want to vigorously stir that. Now what will happen is the heat of the oil will start cooling and the remaining heat will gently cook the chicken. You want to continue stirring that until all the chicken pieces have turned white. As soon as that has turned white, I want to drain all the oil off. Okay, I'm going to reheat the wok until it's quite hot. I'm leaving about 1 tablespoon of oil in the wok. And when that's hot again, I will add some sliced garlic. Stir that around very quickly. Some green peppers, red peppers, and cook that. Stir fry that for just a few seconds to get it nice and brown. Add some soy sauce, light soy sauce that is, some rice wine, and about 5 fluid ounces of chicken stock. Let that cook over a very, very high heat. Okay, I want to add a very nice spicy note to this entire dish, so I'm going to add some Madras curry paste. The amounts that you add depends on your taste, but I think spice is very nice for chicken breast, which is quite bland. Stir this around. And some chili bean sauce, and I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of that. And to balance all the flavors of this dish so that it won't be too hot, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of sugar. Going to taste that? That tastes very good indeed. I want to cook this until the peppers are done. This literally takes minutes to do. That's nice and spicy, and I could just smell how delicious it's going to be. Now, I'm going to return the chicken back to the sauce, but you see all that excess oil is actually in the bowl, not in the chicken. Take that, mix that really well, and you can see what a delicious dish this will be. And you want to just continue cooking this until
the chicken pieces are done. Now, how do you know when the chicken pieces are done? Well, here's a good way, a good test. What you do is you press it down. If it's still a little bit squishy, that means it needs a little bit more cooking. But in this hot heat, it cooks really fast. Now, it's ready to be served, so I'm going to finish it off with just a very nice touch of mint leaves. And the amount that you add depends on your own personal taste. Now, if you can't get mint leaves, basil leaves are a good substitute. Now, it's ready to be served. And look at how colorful that is. And the aroma of the curry paste and the chili bean paste just makes this chicken absolutely wonderful. My mouth is watering already.
That's spicy mint chicken. I like to serve it with boiled potatoes and a simple salad. Remember those hungry firefighters? I visited Blue Watch in the beautiful city of York. This team of 13 men and 1 woman not only fight fires and run a rescue service, but each day 2 of them take turns to cook for the others on a budget of £1.50 a head. Okay, fellas, we're going to be here cooking something really nice. What are the kinds of food that people like to eat?
Well, they like quite a lot of things. They like spicy foods, they like lasagnas, bolognese, and we have to cook things that are easy to do and don't take a lot of time.
What's a sort of a favorite foods they like?
Oh, favourite. They like a chili. They like a hot chili is one of the favourites.
Yes.
It's always a good one for supper time.
And chips?
Chips? Oh, well, yeah, chips are always eaten.
Okay, spicy foods. I'm going to make stir-fried beef curry and some East-West chips. First, we start with our beef curry. Don't worry about this burning because you're experts. If it starts to burn, you know what to do, right?
Yeah, run.
Run. Now, what you do is put about maybe a couple of tablespoons of oil. Get that really hot until it starts smoking. So when that starts smoking like that, that's a signal to you to add the meat. Okay, so what we want to do is add the meat in here. This has been marinated in light soy sauce, sesame oil, rice wine, and a little corn flour for about 20 minutes. Let it brown a little bit before you start to move it. You see how it doesn't stick? Okay. You just shake it a little bit. When you get good at this, you can toss it like that.
Take a bit of practice.
Yes. But it's not difficult. What you want is the meat to brown. If it's not hot enough, what will happen is, if you ever cook meat to brown meat and all the juices come out and it starts to stew, it's because it's not hot enough.
Right.
And for wok cooking, it's really important for it to be hot. Now, even though we use oil, it's still quite healthy because I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, the meat is partially cooked, so Jed, you want to hold that for me? Just like that. I'm just going to take the meat and I'm going to put it here to drain. Okay. That must be very hot for you, Jed.
It's quite warm.
Get that very hot again. And do you like garlic?
Love it.
You like garlic?
Oh, yes.
Good. Garlic is the spice of life. Some coarsely chopped garlic. It's very nice. Some onions. Okay, you can add some, why don't we add some rice wine? That's always nice. Just a touch to keep it moist. Okay, just let that cook a little bit so that it gets brown. Anytime you're cooking, you don't know what to do. Onions and garlic can save the day. Okay, at this point, I'm going to add some light soy sauce. That's a nice thing. You're on a limited budget. This is light soy sauce. You can either go to a supermarket or a Chinese grocer and you can buy a lot of these ingredients for very little money, which is a nice thing. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock. Okay, just to cook that. And a little bit of curry paste. Now this is something that you can also buy and that'll last you a long time. Have you used that, the Madras curry paste?
I haven't, no.
No? You haven't? It's fantastic. Your mates like it hot or?
Oh, we like it hot.
Okay,
Yeah, we like it hot.
Okay.
We're trying to make it so
Right.
they'll like it hot.
Yes, that's the attitude.
Okay, what you want to do is take that, mix that really well, and just let that cook for a little bit. Okay, at this point you just return, and you see the meat is practically cooked already, because it continues to cook even after you take it out of the wok. Okay, we just bung this back in here like that. Very easy, and just mix that quickly. I think that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Looks good to me.
And we just garnish that with some spring onions, like that. Chopped spring onions, and that looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Okay.
So that's the stir-fry beef curry. And now for my east-west chips.
So what you do want to do is heat it up until it's very hot, and then cook the chips once.
Yeah.
Okay, until you're actually blanching them, and then taking them out. See, and that's what I've done here. Right before you serve it, you reheat the oil until it's super hot. Do you think this is dangerous? Because Chinese always like fry things in a wok.
Well, no, it isn't dangerous. The dangerous thing is it's the people that cook it. If you've got fat on in a kitchen, you've got to stay in the kitchen. You can't leave it.
Well,
you know?
What are most accidents caused by?
Negligence. That's, you know.
People go and...
They'll put something on, leave it in the kitchen, wander off, forget it's on, and the next minute, the kitchen's on fire and we're in a job.
Now, what we want to do is, you have to make sure it's very, very hot when you put it in the second time. You see that? You see, most people don't get it hot enough. But the thing is, I think, you know, if you're having oil like this, you should pay attention to it.
You must stay in the kitchen when you've got oil on.
Exactly. Well, we're not going to leave here until these are
No.
There's some hungry lads out there.
Oh, look at this. See, yes, they're going to be very hungry. And you want to fry them. See how they're nice and crispy? If you touch them, see how crispy they are? See, they're very, very crispy on the outside and nice and cooked and soft on the inside. Okay. And here's we have the seasoning.
Yes.
You have it on there? Okay. You can take a little bit of that and sprinkle that evenly over the chips. Yes. We have some cayenne pepper, 5 spice powder, a little bit of Sichuan peppercorn, some black pepper, and some salt. Okay, here we are. It's done. Let's put it in a nice dish. And then we're going to have to call them for dinner.
Good.
I could grow to like those.
Very nice.
And now for the moment of truth. I think these guys could be tough critics.
Just for you.
Absolutely superb. I like it. It's real.
At home in California, I entertain Amy Tan, author of such novels as The Joy Luck Club, The Kitchen God's Wife, and The 100 Secret Senses. Amy, you know, you write a lot about food in your books. Do you like to cook?
I don't, actually. I'm a miserable cook, and I am an extremely talented eater. I grew up in a family in which I enjoyed wonderful Chinese food 3 times a day. My mother was a marvelous cook, still is a marvelous cook. And because of that, I developed very low cooking self-esteem. She assigned to me washing the rice, and I managed to burn the rice probably 3 out of every 7 days, and then I was assigned to become the dishwasher, you know. So I don't think I've ever overcome that insecurity that I'm somehow inept in the kitchen.
As a writer, sometimes you're under enormous pressure. How does that affect your eating?
I find myself growing hungry as I'm writing. And that's why there are so many references to food in my books. People think that it's this hidden symbolic meaning, but what it really is my stomach was grumbling at the time that I was writing. I was getting really hungry, and I sort of imagined this meal that I would be eating if I could cook.
Well, Amy, we're going to do a delicious and simple scallop steamed dish. Now, I want to show you, you have a lot of water in here,
And here I just have a mat to keep the plate from touching the water.
Ah.
And it's such a simple technique. Now what we're going to do is take off this muscle here.
Oh, right.
Yes, because that part is tough and you can just throw that away. And what we're going to do is put the scallops on a heat-proof plate. I'll let you hold
This
that.
is a heat-proof plate?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Chilies, because you said you like
I
chilies.
love spicy
So
food.
I'll put some chilies in there. And ginger, of course, this is something you've grown up with and you must love. And some spring onions. This is really like Chinese flavors that I'm sure it would bring you memories of the childhood.
Yep.
A little bit of salt.
My little dog's hungry,
Okay,
too.
yes. That's good. Some pepper. This is so simple. Some light soy sauce. This is all you have to do. You don't have to really prepare anything. And when you're writing, this is something you could actually make in a matter of minutes. And a little bit of rice wine. Okay, rice wine is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Just a little bit like that. And that's all we have to do. We take that and we'll steam it. Scallops cook very, very fast. You don't want to overcook them. And steaming is so nice because it keeps all the subtle taste of the scallops. And you cover it and you just let it steam until it's done.
Do you go by the color, or do you poke it, or
Well,
how do
it's
you
really
tell
interesting because when it's raw, you see how squishy that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
And when it's cooked, it'll be firm and it'll turn very opaque white. And of course, scallops, when they're fresh, you don't really want to overcook them
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
And this cooks in a matter of minutes.
Okay.
In fact, 5 minutes is perfect. Well, Amy, I think it's done. Look how simple that is. Now, is this the type of dish you would do?
I think I could do that. I might even cook that for my mother.
Fantastic.
Steamed scallops with chili and ginger.
The best way to care for your carbon steel wok is to never ever wash it with soap or detergent. Anything that survives the heat deserves to live anyway. What you simply do is wash it out with warm water, or if food sticks to it, simply soak it for a little longer period and then wash it out with a soft sponge. And that's all. Today I'm going to show you how to use the wok in the barbecue. Most of the time we think about using the barbecue to cook big slabs of meat, but you know, you can use the coal to stir fry something delicious. And I'm going to make for you a spicy pork dish with fragrant basil. Now what you want to do is heat up your wok until it's very, very hot. I'm just putting it directly on the charcoal. And when it's hot, add a little bit of oil. You can swirl this around a little bit. Now once that's hot, I'm going to quickly add some garlic. And you have to, of course, move very quickly because it is so hot. And some chilies. The amount that you add depends on how spicy you like it. And of course, chilies come in different forms. Some are hotter than others, but you can moderate the amount that suits your taste. Now, at this point, I'm going to add some minced pork. Now, the nice thing about the minced pork, you don't even have to cut it, so it's very, very easy. You just take that and toss that in there, and you can hear that sizzle. This particular recipe was inspired by a dish that I had in Thailand, and I've sort of moderated to my own taste. So, really think it's easy to do. It's one of these dishes that are really dead easy. Now, I haven't added any seasonings whatsoever, but I'm going to add an unusual flavor to this. It's called fish sauce, and it'll add a nice sort of aromatic, pungent flavor to this dish. This is what the Thais use in place of soy sauce. A little bit of oyster sauce, and oyster sauce, of course, is something that the Chinese use. So it's sort of a combination of Chinese and Thai flavors. That looks absolutely delicious. It cooks very, very quickly. I'm going to add some fresh coriander, and that will give it a nice balance and flavor. And since I've used chilies, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to this, and that's really good. And you see how quickly that cooks. I mean, it's cooking in a matter of literally seconds because the barbecue is so hot. And finally, finishing off with just a little bit of chicken stock. Now, of course, pork, you want to cook it thoroughly. So as it's cooking, I'm just going to have a taste. That's absolutely mouth-watering. I'm just going to finish this off with some fresh basil leaves. This is something I really like in Thailand. They use a lot of fresh basil. And I usually like to add a whole handful like this and use it almost like a vegetable. And look how beautiful they look. And now the smells are just incredible. Spicy pork with fragrant basil.
Next, I went to see Prunella Scales and Timothy West, two of my favorite actors. They're fond of vegetarian food, so I made this delicious mushroom bean curd. We were talking about your sons were vegetarians, so I thought we'd do a wonderful vegetarian dish that you can show them how to do.
Exactly, sure.
Bean curd, you know, this is something which is also known as tofu.
Yes.
I mean, usually people make faces when they say that because it just looks dreadful.
No, the sons love it.
Yes, but it's a high source of protein, and especially Chinese vegetarians, we eat a lot of this.
What's it made of?
It's made out of soya beans. All the water is crushed out, and the curd remains.
Yeah.
And there's a...
I feel it.
Yes, it's sort of rather
yes,
soft,
yes,
and you
yeah.
can buy at supermarkets or, you know, at any sort of a Chinese grocer. And what we do with that is we just take it and cut it into pieces and just pan fry it. And what we're going to do is cook it with mushrooms. Now, you know, these are not just ordinary mushrooms. We're talking about mushrooms that are these Chinese mushrooms. Have you seen these before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're dried, and they're absolutely wonderful.
yeah.
They have a lovely smell, and they're hard like that. And what you have to do is you must soak them in water. And when you soak them, keep the water because we can use that as a sauce.
Right.
See how they balloon up like this? You know,
That's a washed one.
they look like some blob that's invading. And what we're doing with that is we're just taking that and shredding it. Now, it's important when you're doing the wok. I know that Prunella, you said that you have a wok and you're afraid to use it.
I was given this fork
Yes.
and I can't tackle it.
Well, the thing is not to be afraid of it. Just get it very hot.
How do you test it? From
No,
the hot?
well, just leave it on for about a minute or so, and it gets very hot. You want to use a good, any type of vegetable oil. Swirl this all around, and we have some shredded ginger, which is lovely.
Lovely.
Ginger is really wonderful. Some spring onions, and this is really very, very Chinese. I mean, these smells and flavors. Because with vegetarian cooking, you must have flavors, otherwise it's boring. Never panic. For instance,
Right. I won't panic.
Yes, and you see most of the time, as you can see, there's no oil in here, and things are starting to burn. So
Yes.
what you want to do is you can always add a little bit of rice wine, and this is something you don't. This is not something you drink. Well, you can drink it, but I think for most Western tastes, it's very strong.
Yes.
And you can use dry sherry. But rice wine, you smell that wonderful flavor.
Yes.
All the alcohol just
That's brilliant.
evaporates.
As soon as it is, that's brilliant.
Right. And we're going to add the mushrooms here. The mushrooms are lovely. Look at, they're all nicely shredded. And the nice thing is you could do this in a vat. This dish reheats very well.
All right.
And in fact, the longer it cooks, the better it gets. These mushrooms will cook, and we add our bean curd, which actually looks better now that it's been brown. It doesn't look so anemic, does it? Okay. We just stir this around a little bit. As you can see how that looks already. That looks, I think, quite tasty. And I'm going to add a little bit of dark soy sauce because this has really rich flavor and wonderful. And a touch of sugar. Nothing wrong with sugar if it's used in moderation. And just some black pepper and some salt. Now, you don't have to add a lot of salt because we have the soy sauce. So you want to take that and just stir this around. And what we're going to do is, remember our mushroom.
Oh, mushroom water.
Yes. The water is very nice because you want to just pour off the top of the liquid and leave sort of any sand. You see what happens is any sand that settles on the bottom. Of course, you don't want it to be gritty.
Sure.
Now, we're doing this so that all these flavors can get into the bean curd because the bean curd by itself is quite rather boring. Don't mind my fingers. Do you do that when you cook?
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Hardly anything left, really.
Tim, would you hand me
Yeah.
that, please? And what you want to do is just take this and cover it and just cook this at high heat. Now, what's going to happen now is
all those mushroom flavors will just seep into the bean curd, and the bean curd acts like a sponge. And the thing is, what's really nice about this type of cooking is that it's really easy. I mean, once we've prepared everything, it's literally taken minutes.
It has.
Now, let's see. What
How
happened
long
is-
did you fry the bean curd?
Oh, you just
You
fry them
just
for a
dropped
few
it in
minutes.
for-
You know, the emperors of China used to eat this as a way of meditating. Like, for instance, they could have anything they want, but they would have things like bean curd and simple rice and vegetable as a way to cleanse their body, which I think is very
lovely.
poetic, isn't it? And that's all there is to it, and it's done.
It's terrific.
Beautiful. That's wonderful.
It smells good too.
So shall we go and eat it?
Let's go and eat it.
Okay. So here we are. I think this
This
is
is
the type of meal that is just really nice, say with some grilled salmon or a nice tomato salad.
How's yours?
Oh, wonderful. Delicious. I'm thinking of all the things that went in, the rice
Yes.
wine and the side.
And it's
Well,
simple.
it's so
Lovely.
tasty. I mean, you
Lovely.
can't imagine a thing like that being imbued with so much taste, can you really?
We've been doing it for a long time.
No, it's great. Lovely.